Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vladimir Dashenko. I'm a cybersecurity expert at Kaspersky ICS, and today with me, Mr. Kirill Naboyshikov. He's the head of Cyber Physical System Security Marketing at Kaspersky, right?
Hello, great to be here.
Yeah, we are preparing this webinar for you because Kirill just got back from the business trip from one of the regions. He will be announcing from what kind of region. And the story behind this webinar is that we realized that we need to talk to you about resilience, because right now on the market, on the industrial cybersecurity market and the industrial control system market, there is no clear understanding what is the cybersecurity resilience, what are the steps, what is the problem. So Kirill, please tell us, what is the resilience and why it is important for industrial business?
Oh yeah, sure. So for critical infrastructure protection, the resilience is a great end goal of investments and putting as much effort and attention to that, while at the same time it enables the digital transformation strategy that most of the industrial organizations are doing right now. Well, frankly speaking, the cyber resilience is an organization's ability to prevent, withstand, and recover from cybersecurity incidents. According to many very well-known researchers, only 19% of cybersecurity leaders feel confident that their organization are cyber resilient. It means that over 80% somehow are doubt with that. So we felt like it's very important to talk with one of our customers from energy sector by their request to talk about how to achieve the cyber resilience, and they specifically asked to be as practical as possible, not general conversation, but basically they asked for a guide showing our vision that is compliant with the international standards. And the motivation is very clear here that according to some researchers from one of the US companies that do research on the consequences of the cyber breaches, and they are trying to calculate the impact, the financial losses that are happening after that. Up to $140 million. That's the highest detected and highest number that we ever got. So the consequences of the cyber breaches could be as high as $140 million. And according to the statistics of ICS CERT, up to 35% of the cyber-initiated incidents actually causing the physical consequences in the industrial facilities. So the importance of this conversation is pretty high, and I'll be happy to talk about that today.
But first, let me tell you a short story of our Kaspersky ICS CERT. We started as a small group of people in 2016 as the cybersecurity researchers and professionals who is basically doing, obviously cybersecurity research things around the industrial control systems, operation technologies, critical infrastructure, and some unusual IT technologies.
And what's even more important, IoT. You have a perfect combination of that.
Yes, and not only IoT, but IIoT, Industrial Internet of Things.
Exactly.
Correct. We are a part of the 5 major security centers of expertise at Kaspersky. And basically we're responsible for industrial control systems and heavy enterprise industrial organizations. Another important thing that we are gathering anonymized statistics from industrial control systems, and right now we have more than 2 million computers and data sources who is sending the statistics to us, and those computers, they have officially agreed to share that kind of statistics. And based on the data, we're gathering a lot of information about cyber attacks and cyber incidents relevant to the industrial control systems. Today we would like to share some of the statistics for 4 different regions in Asia. So it will be Central Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and East Asia. And talking about the statistics, if we will be looking at the statistics starting from the first quarter of 2022 up to quarter 4 2024, we see that in some of the regions there is a decrease of the infections and attacks on the industrial control systems and industrial enterprises. In East Asia, the statistics says that it gets up. There are several reasons for that. Maybe some of the attackers, are paying more attention to different regions and different enterprises located in that area. Two regions, Africa and Middle East. What is very important is, you can see on the graph, is that globally, overall, the statistics goes down. So the graph is decreasing for Latin America. You can see on the graph that the statistics is getting lower and lower. I mean, the graph is decreasing. So that means that the number of attacked computers is getting less from, in time. But it doesn't mean that industrial companies are being attacked less. No, there is one important detail, very important detail, that we are talking about mass infections, regular spam, phishing, some mass malware infections, and so on and so forth. Because right now we see a trend that industrial enterprises are being attacked by APT attacks, by targeted attacks. So that means that the number of the targeted attacks is getting higher, but comparing with the mass infections, it's still low. But the damage, financial damage or operational damage, is way higher than just, from the average attacks. Another important thing is that all the reports that we are doing, they are published for free on our website, and you can take the data, use it for yourself, do the analysis, internal analysis. So we are sharing all kinds of the statistics for free on our website. And there are three major types of the reports. First of all, we are doing the analysis of the APT, targeted attacks, done against industrial enterprises. So you can see all the statistics and understand what's happening globally. Second, we do a brief description of all cybersecurity incidents about the industrial control systems and industrial enterprises. And third type of the report is basically a threat landscape for industrial automation systems.
I love your reports. You're doing a great job, and from my memory, I can remember that from year to year, not only, but the whole well-made third of the industrial computers are being attacked with this or that mass attacks. Typically, what's even more interesting that let's say in one of the quarters, if I'm not mistaken, in second quarter of 2024, there was 30 confirmed attacks on the different industrial facilities, and 29 of which they recovered. So they were resilient enough to recover from this issue, but just one single couldn't do it. So the cyber resilience topic of this meeting would be very interesting to this particular one organization. What else? And yeah, another thing, one of your reports, actually, it was one of your reports, I knew that IT infrastructure being more and more robust,
right.
The OT infrastructure is becoming the entry point for the cyber intruder.
Oh yes, unfortunately.
That was a nice idea to understand from reading of this report. So yeah, great job, guys.
Thank you. So yeah, talking about the recovery, so that company who didn't manage to recover the business,
oh my God.
It costs a lot. It costs a lot, and that could be a crucial problem for business owners, right? Maybe, I don't know, there are some steps how not to get to that stage when you cannot recover your business.
Yeah, sure. Well, the short answer is very simple. You need to be prepared for the incident that will eventually happen for sure. And the more prepared you are, the better and faster you would recover. You could mitigate the incident during the incident happening, during this very short time frame when you need to get operations going once again. And the recovery pace would be significantly easier for you as soon as you are prepared enough. Still, the industrial cybersecurity can address very different things like IT, OT, IoT, because industrial organizations obviously have its all. All of this infrastructure is they're operating that. And beside of the protection, we always try to make sure that all our advices or all our conversation with the end customer, it benefits all parties involved, the cybersecurity managers, but also the automation system engineers. I really want to make sure that automation system engineers get some additional benefits from using all the advices we have, whether it's the asset management or whether it's asset inventory, license checks, compliance checks. They're pretty interested in that. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. That's a really good starting point, right?
Exactly.
In the very beginning, you have mentioned that it very depends on the nation strategy. If a country or a region is ready, to provide the steps and the platform for business to become resilient, right? Maybe you have some statistics, or not statistics, but some ideas or some data about, regulations, the standards or something in different regions of the planet, if some countries are ready or getting ready about the resilience.
Sure. Let me ask the engineer of this setup to put to the screen the list of the regulations that we're, aiming to be compliant with, and we're trying to deliver all the value in the world for our customers to them to make sure they are compliant. This automatic compliance checks and this audits is tremendously helpful for our customers and the organizations to check themselves, to do the self-assessment on a permanent basis. So all the regulations you see on your screen is basically something we're trying to make sure we are as a vendor, but also all the settings within the customer premises are 100% compliant with these regulations. And yeah, that was actually one of the topics we were discussing with the client of ours.
Yeah, as far as I understand, for some regions and for some businesses, the regulation standardization is like it's a critical thing, super critical thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's one of the motivators for the stakeholders on the very top. Oh yeah, and speaking of the technologies and compliance, what we're trying to achieve here is we're trying to be on every single layer of the corporate infrastructure, right?
No, Kirill, hold on a second. I don't want to get this webinar into the product placement and classical marketing. Please, let's skip to the steps. We need to provide, the most important is basically what steps can be done by the management, by companies, to achieve the resilience. Okay, so the steps. We need to understand and we need to deliver basically the key steps. As far as I understand, we do have 9 steps, right?
It's 8, but before even starting the first one,
Zero. Step number
there's
0.
something we call step number 0.
Yeah, and this is basically a high-level risk analysis for the company, correct?
Oh yeah, that's exactly the case. So all the companies, all the industrial organizations, they can clearly understand their risks, and the risk management procedures are well established in all the levels of the organizations. So basically outlining these risks and trying to understand which risk has something to do with cyber,
right?
Which risk has something to do with the digital transformation strategy they have. And outlining these risks and unwanted consequences is a great initial first level step before even tackling this pretty hard challenge to become cyber resilient.
Okay, fair enough. Now I understand basically the starting point. So what are the next steps? What companies should do or should not do to get to to that resilience?
Oh yeah, very easy as that. So the people, process, management controls,
also
all of that should be established. And speaking of the step-by-step approach, we need to start with the preparation, then deploy some very, very basic measures, the cheapest one, the easiest to deploy one, and then going uphill to the advanced cybersecurity practices. And in the as a final step, you need to improve your human capital. You need to make sure that all professionals on their places doing exactly what needed to be done.
Okay, so now I understand. So, quick question. So, can we, provide if some of the companies, customers, so people who's watching the webinar, if they do have any questions, can they, reach me or you or the company and ask additional questions about the, breakdown for this 8+1 step?
Sure. The easiest way is to go to ics.kaspersky.com and just click the Contact Us button.
Okay,
we'll
super.
be more than happy to help.
Okay, perfect. So, Kirill, as far as I understand and as far as I know and remember, the first major and classical step to, to tackle that huge problem or huge challenge is know your assets, inventory, asset management, correct?
Totally,
So
exactly.
it helps you to understand with what kind of assets, technologies you are working with, right? So can you provide some additional details on that?
Oh yeah, when I was working on one of the major ultra high voltage substations, there was a huge Excel sheet of all the IP addresses, devices, spare devices and stuff like that. And it was always incomplete. You had to update it on a regular basis. No one does that actually. So what you need to achieve here is you need to build a well-designed process of the asset management. The perfect way is to use one of the free versions of the polling software that just polls over the network all the details of the data.
So basically you can do it by yourself. You don't need to buy something.
Excel sheet still works great.
Okay, perfect. Thanks
but
God we have
automation is what I would recommend to the organization that has more than one automation system on their premises. So automation could save a lot of resources. And the smart way to do here is to use one of many freeware software to actually do that. It could be slightly dangerous, but it depends on the infrastructure itself, whether it's a, I don't know, nuclear power plant or just a small manufacturing facility. There's definitely all of the major vendors of critical infrastructure protection products. They provide their pilot projects. They're more than happy to give you their software for piloting procedures. And that's also a great way to assess this tool, to make sure that it fits the requirements, to make sure it works as described, and basically fits the overall vision of the end game here of the, all the process and peoples are in the place. So outlining the objectives, preparing for discovery, use active or passive monitoring of the network itself, map the network, whether it's automated or manual mapping. It's a great way to list discovered assets and do that on a permanent level. Whenever anything is changed, you need to put that into the list.
So after basically knowing your assets and understanding with what you are working with, right? With what kind of products, devices, hardware, and so on. As far as I understand, based on my cybersecurity background, you need to understand vulnerabilities, right? You need to understand if it's vulnerable or not, if the architecture is has any kind of vulnerabilities or security issues. So, right, we need to do the assessment. Maybe you have details on that, because I can just provide details from the practical background, right? Just to do the cybersecurity assessment, penetration testing, provide the the detailed analysis and recommendations how to mitigate vulnerabilities and security issues. But maybe there are some more high-level details, and from your background, you have anything to add?
That's definitely it. That is exactly where we closed our conversation with this potential customer. We decided to conduct the ICS security assessment because preparing the cybersecurity policy for their assets is a challenge. They really need some additional consulting, additional professional services on. And that's also a great starting point to actually implement this policy. It would give you all the details on the risks, vulnerabilities. It's basically a well-defined threat modeling, but also you can prioritize some of the more important risks and start with them, and then deprioritize some that doesn't feel the first priority at the moment.
This is the cybersecurity risk management.
Basically, it is, but right after the deep analysis of the infrastructure, hands-on experience of the experienced professional in penetration testing or just security analysis, which is well defined in international standards. What's even more important that the end result here should also align with the one of the most well-known international standard, IEC 62443, under which you must provide a detailed risk assessment before implementing anything.
Okay, so as the result, you are getting like a paper of a document with recommendations and steps, correct?
Well, the documents I saw previously, they're hundreds of pages of long. First, identifying the weaknesses, all the weak spots there are, but also some detailed recommendation on the next steps.
Next steps. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Okay, so basically the next major step, as far as I understand, is to secure. So you right now understand your vulnerabilities and weaknesses, and right now you need to understand how to protect it. But yeah, shiny object syndrome, right? Don't buy the most expensive thing on the market, just it won't cover your problems. You will just spend a lot of money, but will not protect your infrastructure. From my personal experience, ladies and gentlemen, most of the problems you can cover with built-in protections, turn on password protection, network segmentation, network filtering, mechanisms, and properly configuring your firewalls, and so on and so forth. And based on that, right, you can invest a smaller amount of money, to enhance your security, like protecting your endpoints, hardening some solutions and devices, right? Am I right?
That's exactly the case. So this particular customer, he was following the IEC 61850 international standard on the power grid and substation automation systems network architecture. And following that, you must follow all the standards, including the technical recommendations.
Right.
One of the technical recommendations is, separate your network with VLANs, which never was done in this particular case. And that's what should be done. The engineering guidelines must be followed before cybersecurity guidelines take place. Hardening the infrastructure, whether it's a network or node, costs you not tremendous amount of money, but it greatly level up the resilience itself.
Absolutely.
Understanding the configuration baseline, what's happening in your critical infrastructure, what is being changed from time to time, and what stays at the same conditions. Also a great way to start with. Access control mechanisms, very basic ones. The policies, the guides are a great asset. And of course, the endpoint protection. I mean, guys, everyone knows about the Linux threats, the Windows threats, the embedded system threats, the servers there should be protected with that. And that's not a tremendous amount of money. That's a great starting point, yeah.
All right, so as soon as we have implemented the security solutions, security protections,
baseline measures.
Baseline measures, correct. But I think the next step will be something for more prepared, customers, companies, industrial companies. You need to start detecting the anomalies, right? So it's obviously, it is very unfortunate when you see your plant is collapsing, right? So that means that the cyber attack already happened, right? So it's better to detect something before you have cyber physical effect, before you start losing money, right? So basically detecting anomalies. So you can obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot install anything on the controller, on the PLC device. It's impossible.
Yeah, as a cybersecurity vendor, it wouldn't be possible for sure.
Absolutely, and we know that unfortunately, sorry guys, but most of the vendors who does the PLC devices controllers, they do not implement enhanced cybersecurity solutions like XDR embedded into the controller, right? It's impossible.
There are some OT vendors more advanced than others, but in general terms, they're not the cybersecurity experts. So all of their attempts on cybersecurity, I don't want to say fail miserably, but they're not as good as the professionals and experts.
Right. So, but obviously you can protect everything, around the PLC device and start detecting network anomalies or, endpoint anomalies, right?
Yeah, that's totally the case. And the endpoint protection is typically the prevention measure, right?
Absolutely.
It just erases all the threat immediately as it detects it. But you said in the beginning of this conversation that targeted attacks and APTs are on a rise right now. So this anomaly detection, this telemetry analysis, it should benefit majority of the larger scale industrial players on the market.
So, and using the classical cybersecurity solutions sometimes just not enough, right? You can have like a network, security correlation mechanisms, some CEM solutions, and so on and so forth. But there are some rocket science technologies like machine learning anomaly detections we have, right? So, and it helps to detect the anomalies on the very, very early stages of appearing in the network, correct?
Exactly. We call it as a last line of defense, when every single cybersecurity technology didn't find the incident, intrusion, there's no well described pattern-based attack on the network level or the endpoint level. The last line of defense is actually analyzing the technological process. If something is wrong with the technological process, it might be because of the cyber incident, might be because of the other types of incidents, but the end customer shouldn't actually care about that. He needs to make it operational.
Make it stop. I mean, the attack.
Make that attack or the incident stop, and then make sure that he understands it. So as soon as endpoint security is there, the endpoint detection and response technologies, network traffic analysis, network traffic detection, anomaly detection and response technologies, and as a pinnacle of this approach, the correlation network to endpoint correlation with the CM system, but also the AI-based anomaly detection mechanisms in the technological process itself gives a unique combination of the best results you can actually get from the money. So this shiny object syndrome is bad thing as soon as until you realize that it's necessary for your infrastructure and your business processes.
Okay, so basically, we understand with what kind of devices and things we are working with. We implemented baseline security. We implemented, let's say, enhanced type of security. We're gathering data and doing the analysis. And right now, I think it's time to do the audit, right? Basically understand how we are compliant with any kind of standards. It could be internal standards, right? It could be some governmental standards and so on and so forth. Is it correct?
Yeah, that's totally correct. Absolutely correct. And it basically aligns with the IEC 62443 international standard. This, self-assessment is mandatory for all the organizations. Beside of the, regulatory body assessment, the external assessment. This self-assessment gives a great, understanding of so-called achieved level of cybersecurity. So you have the target level, you need to achieve some level that you feel like is great. So you need to self-assess, analyze what's the next steps, what's the missing points. Is there any risks that are uncovered with your actual achieved level of cybersecurity? So yeah, that's exactly the case. And it's very wise thing to analyze all the new vulnerabilities.
Absolutely,
And I know that you guys are, searching for new ones, updating the databases of the vulnerabilities, and as soon as it's discovered, as soon as the 0 day is discovered, you need to be fast in, identifying that it's a part of your infrastructure. This vulnerability is now a part of your ongoing tasks and problems. Another smart move is to analyze the compliance, as you said, external, international standards, and or sometimes the internal standards of the organization is way much more strict and better written than the international ones. Some of the oil and gas companies in Asia Pacific.
Great example.
In the Asia Pacific, they have a very, very skilled cybersecurity departments. Another interesting thing is that monitoring of all the changes of the configuration of the core automation system, whether it's a controller configuration, network architecture configuration, or even the operator workstation, human-machine interface configuration. All of these changes could also, it's not a direct attack on the infrastructure,
right,
but it's some change that must be under supervision.
Yeah, a tiny little step.
Yeah, even if it's the internal violation by one of the employees,
right?
It gives a great benefit to the responsible person from the distributed control systems engineering team. That's another audit that is great to have within your premises and organization.
Sounds great. But from your experience, and we were discussing before this webinar, like from your experience, your customer has a electrical power grid station that is being running for the last 15 years, right? And 10-15 years. And how to implement the security over there, right? And maybe it's interconnected with other substations, right? So maybe there is a important part, how to get the zones, how to create zones, network segmentations, how to gather data from different parts.
Oh yeah, sure. So in 2025, as you said, in power grid sector, for instance, the wide area automation, basically the automation function that goes all the way beyond the substation, it's a must. It's a crucial part of the smart grid concept. So this connectivity is on a rise. You have to deliver your data to the clouds. You have to exchange the data between of the important parts, let's say, of the power grid. But actually, it's pretty much the same in the manufacturing field and any other fields.
Yeah, absolutely.
You must provide the secure remote access to your suppliers and contractors, because no one wants to go to the site on a regular basis for some minor changes. What else? Let's say you have a fleet of your assets, whether it's transportation vehicles or transportation vessels. You need to monitor your commitment to the green energy transition. You need to monitor all the telemetry from all the single part of your distributed infrastructure. So all these gateways, whether it's automotive gateways, whether it's remote access terminals, whether it's the IoT or industrial IoT secure gateways, or maybe just a regular connectivity with software-defined wide area access networks or local access networks. So all of these connectivity devices should be a part of one single strategy. And as you said, this particular customer, they have mostly like two types of assets. The ones that were commissioned in the year 2000-ish and in the year of 2020-ish. So it's basically an infrastructure that have it's all like older, still Ethernet connected systems, and the newer ones. So this diverse infrastructure must be protected with one single security policy. Absolutely. And that's where mapping your zones, conduits, channels, outlining this and visualizing this infrastructure, this network infrastructure and data flows is a crucial step at this at this time?
All right. So basically, right now we have an understanding, either basic understanding or clear understanding, of how to, define, how to create the same security policy for all your different locations or your managed facilities and so on and so forth. Let's move to the next, more mature level, is basically how to monitor all the things are happening. You have two options, obviously. You can create your own security operations center in-house. So you need to find people, you need to train people, or you can do the outsource story. So you can outsource the security operations center to any kind of security vendor who has experience.
So you need to create some kind of operations center to make sure you are analyzing all the incidents happening in your infrastructure. Then you need to make it mature. You need to make operations mature. So basically, there's a technological stack, right? You need to choose your trusted supplier of the incident management systems. You need to make your decision whether it's an in-house grown expertise or outsourced expertise. Both ways are great, but the strategy is slightly different in both of these cases. You need to plan your incident response. What if happening this or that? And you guys are from cyber emergency response team.
Absolutely, yes.
You know how it's done and how important it is. Maybe you can have some comments on that.
Yeah, about the incident response and recovery plan after the incident. First, you need to do your homework. You need to have the strategy, how to basically respond the case, what to do, what are the roles of the people in-house, who will be coordinating that security event. If you need to contact any external entities, if you need to contact the regulator from your country, because some of the countries or regions, they do have policies, the restrictions. If you do have a security incident in a critical infrastructure, you need to contact your regulator, right? You need to report that incident. So all those very crucially important steps, they should be done before the incident, because when the incident happens, you don't have time for it. So as far as I understand, after you have everything ready to go in terms of the processes, technologies, solutions, and blah 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 blah, you need to train your people. You need your people to be prepared, to any kind of security incidents or issues or any kind of unfortunate events, right?
Yeah.
So what are the steps? What are your recommendations?
So yeah, after deployment of these advanced cybersecurity measures, the people are already part of this team responsible for deployment. They got significant amount of practical experience during the deployment project is happening. So obviously they are already trained professionals, and you need to keep up with the market trends. You need to make sure that not only the cybersecurity engineers, the automation engineers are well equipped with technologies and knowledge, but you need to train the general staff. The security awareness programs, we're constantly talking about them, but they're crucially important for the overall organizational resilience. And you guys in ICS CERT of Kaspersky, you're sharing your deep technical knowledge that you're gathering on a regular basis from the market, from the researchers. From that, and I know that you're visiting the sites, you're doing the trainings on sites if it's required. So any things you can share after this experience?
Yeah, one of the most, you have mentioned the security awareness training. It's super important for most of the people who work on the plant, on the facility, in the industrial enterprise. But for the security teams, it is crucially important to have a incident response training for industrial control systems.
In practice.
In practice, absolutely in practice. Yeah, from our experience and based on our research capabilities, first of all, we always update our trainings based on the investigations and the security research that we are doing. And second, we are doing this training only in-house. I mean, it's not virtual training, it's not online training, because we force people to do something with their hands, because you cannot do the investigation, you cannot recover your business if you do not have any hands-on experience. You need to do something with your hands, and this training is very important. All the customers, they love it. They just love it.
And I read some feedback from after this training happening. I know that this training per se is a great platform for this cross-team collaboration when the IT cybersecurity and OT automation guys who hates sometimes the all the attention they get, they actually come to the single vision of the importance and the practical aspect of this cybersecurity and actually training the resilience in practice. That's a great asset.
And after they achieve the last step, everything will be solved, right?
Oh yeah, that's a summary of our practical experience after serving 1,000 clients worldwide. So we're doing that for 10 years and the overall experience of 27 years in cybersecurity itself. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to share the experience.
Let me interrupt you, but very important thing is that all the steps, they have to be done continuously, not only once, but continuously.
Exactly.
Training your people, updating your policies, checking your vulnerabilities and the state of security, right?
Totally right. That's a process, not an end result, of course.
Of course. Sorry for interrupting.
You're spot on here. So step by step, we're solving one problem at a time, whether it's compliance, basic security measures, advanced security measures, connectivity, or like network segmentation and zones and conduits optimization, whether it's training of the people, whether they're general staff or narrow field experts in OT or IT, both security and automation. And after every single task at the time is solved, the process continues, of course, but the cyber resilient is right there under your fingertips.
Right. So you always keep your hands on your job, continue doing your job perfectly, and then basically you will achieve that resilience.
Sure. And it's also a great way to achieve the compliance with the international standards, because all this practical experience is obviously a part of the compliance with national, international, or just sectorial best practices.
All right. I think we have covered all the major steps, right? Yeah, okay, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Thank you that you were with us during this whole webinar, and I really hope that you liked it. Please feel free to reach us, to call us, to send us emails if you have any questions. Also, please feel free to visit our website, icscert.kaspersky.com. You will find any kinds of reports there, technical reports, overview reports, and so on and so forth. Also, this year, 2025, in September, we will be having an international conference about industrial cybersecurity in Sochi, Russia. So please feel free to submit your papers. Soon we will be launching the call for papers process, right?
We are searching for real experts from your country.
Yeah, from all over the globe, So please feel free to contact us, and yeah, let's see you soon, somewhere, someday in this planet or
and
online.
one more thing, if you would like to review the steps once again, there would be some link below.
Great. Thank you very much.